All right, ladies. All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show. My name is Wayne Dupree. It is our Friday, your Thursday. We broadcast Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday between 12 and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on the Red Voice Media Network. Don't forget to follow the Red Voice Media, rbmnews.com. Check them out. They also have a Rumble channel, too. Don't forget to check out their Rumble channel. Welcome to everybody that is watching the show on all of these platforms. I'm happy to be here once again. I want to give a shout out to Lisa and many of our loyal listeners and viewers that are across all the platforms. We got a lot to talk about and a short time to do it. We're getting ready to get right into it. So if you have any questions, especially on Twitter, if so I'm not sure why the Twitter stuff doesn't come through. So if you're watching this on Twitter right now, you can leave your questions in any of the posts, actually, in any of the posts that I post, because I post during the show. You can leave your questions and I'll try to get to them. Getter, what's up? Thank you. Thank you for sticking in there with us. If you're having problems on any of the platforms, you can always check us out on YouTube too. A lot of conservatives are still broadcasting on that thing. So we have moved our stuff also back there too. We aren't getting paid for it. It's not monetized, but they're still there. All right. With that said, we got a lot to talk about. Short trying to do it. Let me introduce Jason Robinson from Minnesota.
Hey, folks, happy Thursday. Welcome to the Wayne Dupree podcast. We're so excited to have you with us. So much to go over. Israel, Iran. We got the Hegseth press conference this morning, which I think we both thought was pretty great. Immigration, big, beautiful bill. We are so happy to have you here while we go through it. Do us a favor before we get going. Hit the thumbs up. Hit the share button. That's huge. And then comment. Let us know where you're watching from. But we're excited to have you on the journey with us.
Yep. Jason mentioned the press conference. I am happy that General Kane was there because General Kane, militarily wise, more professional, more his delivery was to the point. I really appreciated that. I really appreciated that because a lot of people, and especially the video showed what the potential could be. So I General Kane, I even posted on the thing. I really appreciate him and his delivery and his professionalism. I really appreciate that from the bottom of my heart. Jason, you have your take on it too, right?
Yeah, I was going to say, I watched the press conference. I mean, Wayne was right. Like the military breakdown, here's the steps, here's the thing, here's a chart, here's a video. Very good academically explaining what happened. Excuse me. People that really want to know, they're going to find that was very value added. I also like Pete Hegseth because he went up there and he was reading quotes from this leaked report everybody's citing and things where it says, this is really preliminary. All this will change. None of this is solid. Rah, rah, rah. I mean, it was just an initial snapshot. He was reading it right from the thing. Like, hey, right here, it says this. Here, it says that. And it helps destroy that media narrative. They just want to spin it in 10 different ways. And the fact is, it looks like at this point, the information we have is it was a pretty successful military mission that was executed at a high level by courageous patriots who did this job. Once again, I don't know if it was the right thing to do, but we did it really well. The other thing I liked at the end and that I thought was just funny is the question and answer part. Because like one of the questions was, do you regret denigrating the women by saying our boys did this or you guys did that? And Pete just laughed at this question. And it's like, hey, he's from Minnesota. We use phrases like that, like, hey, guys, hey, that kind of thing. It does not mean, hey, only the men. Hey, you guys, you're addressing a group of people. It is not designed to be anything, but he just handled it really well. And I think that's part of what I like with what Pete's doing, because he's taken on some pretty complex things in restructuring the military and recruitment and that. And he is a very effective communicator and just kind of dispelling a lot of this nonsense media throws at him. So I thought it was a great press conference. I'd recommend you go back and watch. It was only like 20 minutes. Wasn't that long. But yeah, it would be a good watch to get a good take on it.
Yeah, I didn't address Pete because I didn't want to mess up his stuff, but everything that he said, well, not everything that he said, but when he talked about the media, I went and I looked at some of the media, some of them replayed what they said, and it was the same thing he said. It was preliminary. I mean, and even I think it was somebody from the Bush administration or somebody from President Trump's former administration that came on there and said that they were careful in the way that they said it and how they said it, and the way that Pete was reading the stuff this morning is just how they reported. And then they had the words up there. They had the words that they had said, and they let people know it preliminary. You don't. They had a general come in and say, you really don't always go with the first thing that you say anyway. So I mean, that's why I really didn't get into the Pete thing. But I mean, I understand how many people have seen it, no, I'll talk about that point a little bit later on. We do know that Khomeini came out. Khomeini, yeah, that's his name, I think. Mm-hmm. He came out and he did his propaganda type of stuff for Iran. And when I looked at that, I was like, you know what? Expect that. Expect that he was going to do that. I mean, we did it. Israel did it. He has to do it. I mean, and then when I look back at many things that this country has, that many of the countries have done in the past, they always come out to try to save face. The only few that I don't think that really did a good job at it was Baghdad Bob. He came out and did it, and he had bombs going off in the back,
right?
In the background. Don't worry about everything. Everything's all right. Kind of like that. But I mean, yeah, I was looking at it, I was like, wow. Now it's not that now I understand, but I see things a whole lot more clearly than I do muddled. You know what I'm saying? Even Dan Bongino used to say a long time ago, probably doesn't say it now, but he used to say a long time ago, he who controls the narrative controls the story. And back then he used to talk about how the other side used to always put out these narratives all the time. And once you put out a narrative and you start to repeat, even though it might not be right, but it becomes a so-called factual timeline. It becomes the natural thing. And then when the truth comes out, the truth can't catch up with it. It won't catch up with it. Yeah, it won't catch up with it. Now, I believe that Republicans, not really. Well, yeah, Republicans do that too. I was going to say that they started to do it. No, they do that too. They have the front part. They come up with the narrative and they repeat. So if somebody comes up behind them and says something differently, it's already ingrained in. I don't know if that's a CIA tactic or what, but it's ingrained in everybody's head what they heard before, especially with 24/7 media. Many people might not agree, but if you really take your blinders off and look at it, you know, you're like, that does happen. That does happen. Why is that? And then,
well, and I think one of the points Pete made that I really appreciated, and I don't know how much this will break through the veil of, you know, landing with the population, is so in this military exercise, there's like 100 different stories you could write. You could talk about how amazing it was they flew 36 hours nonstop refueling in the air. You could talk about how cool it was they could pull off the refueling. You could talk about how cool the plane was. You could talk about the service members, you know, that flew the flight. You could talk about how cool it was that these bunker bombs were great. You could like, hey, this technology really worked. Like, hey, this is your hard-earned tax dollars. You know, they were able to drop Bunker Buster on top of Bunker Buster. Pretty cool. You know, you could talk about the intelligence that went in gathering that. You know, and you only have so much bandwidth. You know, CNN's going to write 10 articles about what happened. And the question is, what goes in those 10 articles? And every article that CNN wrote was, why didn't they talk about the female pilots? Be like, oh, they're saying it wasn't destroyed. Oh, and they're spinning this report 5 different ways. And it's like, man, of all the 100 stories you could have told about this, like these were the 5 you picked. And that's what I think that's where the narrative comes from. Is it's like we have like on today's podcast, we have an hour. We're going to talk about 5, 6, 7 big things. What are those 7 things we talk about? What are we choosing to highlight? That's what the mainstream media does too. And it's unfortunate because this seems to be a pretty effective military endeavor. And I think whether or not you think Trump should have done it or not, it was effective. It was well executed. It was well planned. And I think the service members that executed should be commended for it.
Yeah, I noticed that Pete is stuck on the service members and stuff. So, I mean, I understand that point. I really understand that point. And I also understand what you were talking about the girls thing. But in watching it, she said, when you talked about all this, you said the boys. She didn't say anything about the girls. She said, when you talked about it, you said the boys. You know, have you
ever used the boys in a gender neutral sense, Wayne? Like, do they do that in the military?
No, they don't like doing that in the military. As a matter of fact, they don't like using the word guys because it's sort of like a gayish type of thing. So, I mean, it's you know, I mean, you don't have military instructors coming out and saying, the boys, you know, and Lisa said, hey, guys. Yeah, I mean, I had a military instructor, and that's probably why she just texted me and said, hey, guys, somebody in the flight one time, and this is getting off of it, but I understand what she meant, and I understand what Pete was talking about. But the way that it was crafted, and I don't know why, it could have been a narrative thing. Yeah, yes, 100%. It could have been a narrative thing. But we had somebody in our military flight that wasn't in the day room at the time, and all were in the day room, and he comes walking in and says, while the military instructor's in there, hey, guys. And the military instructor reamed him a new one. Don't ever use that term in here again. You know, you say, hey, men, you know, or because we didn't have women in there at the time either. But, you know, but he really ripped him in front of everybody with that type of mindset. But no, I mean, I understand what you were saying, but you know, you can go back and take a look at it, at the question, because the question came out of nowhere from a female reporter. and she questioned him on the word boys, and he explained that, this ain't gonna be no DEI type of thing. This ain't gonna be no DEI. That's the way I talk. That's the way it's gonna be. Move on. So the camera then moved back over to see what her face looked like when it answered.
Well, yeah, and I think that's a thing, like phrase like, hey, the boys did a great job, or hey guys, or that kind of thing. Whatever you want to do, if you want to be a social science instructor and say, oh, that's a remnant of the patriarchy. Like when I was in a leadership role, I would use phrases like that denoted everybody in the group, and it was never meant to be only recognizing the men, and I use guys because that's like a Minnesota phrase where we talk from. So if I was addressing a group of people, like, hey guys, how's it going? And that was never meant to be just the male members of the audience. And, let us know in the chat, folks, especially if you served in the military. Like, did you find people used male name, like phrases like that commonly? And it was just understood if you were a woman standing in the group and you said, hey guys, or, oh, the boys did a great job, that they understood that meant all of the group. And it wasn't like they were excluding women. And I think that's what the question was trying to sculpt is, are you recognizing the women for what they did?
Here's the thing. You bring up the military. When we were together, when we were out, we weren't together. We weren't together. So when they did bring up women, it was in a way that you didn't want to hear. Okay.
Right.
All right. So, that it's just certain things, even when we marched, there were certain things that we said that wouldn't be kosher around females.
Well, right.
Okay.
But
so,
now I'm asking the question, like, if you're addressing a group of male and females and somebody uses a male pronoun or whatever word language we want to say, like, is it understood that you are recognizing both the men and the women, and it's not excluding recognizing the women or diminishing what they did or that sort of thing? And I am and maybe it's a Minnesota thing. Like I say, when I would address a group of employees, like, hey, you guys did great getting this ready. It wasn't like I was recognizing the 100 employees and it was like, the 50 men did great and the 50 women, I'm ignoring you. It was, I'm addressing this group.
Yeah. Again, everybody, and believe me, this is not a main topic. It's just something that happened. And I was just, because I remember when it happened, because I was like, whoa, what? But then when Pete gave his answer, I was like, whoa, what? So I was like, okay, well, it didn't even last long. It was only like a couple seconds. Right. So, and, that
I'm saying that's a story. The media got 5 questions, as Pete Hegseth. That was one of them. That is a waste of time. That is malpractice on the media's part, that you're going to waste one of your 5 questions that you can ask somebody of Pete and the general stature. That's going to be one of your 5 questions. Get out of here. You're clowns.
Okay. One thing that I was thinking about before the show, and I even tweeted it before the show, and I want to make sure that I get this out because it's like 12:19, and I really didn't want to not bring this up, but it goes back to many people on the MAGA side blame Barack Obama for race issues in America. Blame him for how America has gone down the tubes and stuff and everything. I've kind of pushed back on that because America's always had a race problem. Did it accelerate under him? Probably, yeah. Because,
probably.
Well, hold on. And I've said in the past that it has, but there's a reason why. Like I said, race he didn't create race problems. That didn't happen with him. It's always been there. Now, when it comes to, and I'm going to tie this into the New York thing with this, what's the guy's name?
The race communist. I'd have to look it up. Zarif or something like that.
Yeah, the guy from Uganda.
Right.
I put it out here, and we'll see what everybody thinks about this, because some people have already started to.
Are you reading your tweet?
I am now.
Oh, good. Yeah, I was going to touch on that. I thought that was very well said.
Thank you. A lot of people are trying to make sense of the New York Democratic primary results, while others are cracking jokes to dismiss them. But the truth is deeper. What we're witnessing is a result of over 30 years of political, cultural, and moral transformation in America. And there's a reason why I put the word transformation in there. And that's why I bring Barack Obama's name in there. He got up there first night, first day, the election. And what was his motto? He wants to bring fundamental transformation to this country. Yep. That's what he wanted to do. It happened. That's where we are. That's why what happened in New York could happen. That's why Ilhan Omar happened. That's why Rashida Tlaib happened. The fundamental transformation in this country, that's what everybody should be blaming Barack Obama for. Pandora's box has been opened. And even if we could close it, things, and I've said this on the show, things can never go back to the way it used to be. Think of it, if you think about it in another way, America ate the forbidden fruit long ago. I'm talking about a century ago. They ate the forbidden fruit. And we've been living outside the garden ever since. For decades, individuals and groups have pushed the boundaries of what they can get away with. And in a society where there's little accountability, again, we've talked about it on this show, the Wayne Dupree Show, Jason, Wayne, we've talked about it. There's no accountability. There's little accountability. Where it used to be more than it is now, there's little accountability now. The political right side used to say, we believe in personal responsibility. Not anymore. Not anymore. There's a whole lot of excuses now to get away with certain things from coast to coast. It's the morality has taken a huge hit. That New York thing that just happened, that's not just about one election. It's about a reflection of a much larger shift. You know, a couple other responses, and then I throw it to Jason. It's the beginning of the takeover America. No, it's not the beginning. This takeover has been happening for a long time. Faust said, that's a big bingo. Keith Long says, I think you're right. If we're not intentional about recovering the moral high ground, we will be lost. Of course, I read the last chapter. So now, Dole Winston says what I've said too, that humanity, Americans, I'll just talk about Americans, has a strange way of course correcting. That's why Hillary Clinton is not in the White House. That's why Al Gore didn't get in the White House. Because for some reason in our heads, we're like, no, that's not going to work. You know, we're not going to elect these people to put them in office. The problem is that the correction may not be a comfortable fit inside the system that allowed the rot. This is how you get revolutions, often violent ones, until there's a new homology that exists. If we're lucky, it won't be. Someone says, I believe you are correct. As always, these things filter up through and from the education system. He's put it in the education system. Get the kids while they're young, and you've effectively primed the pump. All the left has to do was wait until the efforts bore fruit. So, again, yes, I know. I brought up the Barack Obama thing because of the transformational thing. And that's where we are. I don't see a 45 degree like a quick shift from where we are right now, because so many people, is almost like a way of life that this type of shift. Now, you can pass a couple things and stuff, but look at what Congress is doing. President Trump came in, did all these executive orders and stuff, and they're just looking at him. They're having a hard time with the Medicaid thing right now. Medicaid. You even look at it like, wait a minute, is this, are Republicans doing this, or is it the Democrats that are doing it? And I mean, you don't know who's doing it in the Senate. You just hear Republicans, you can't do it. Well, why y'all talking about it? Y'all control most of it, right? You control the Senate. So why are you saying Republicans can't do it? Are you saying Republicans are for the Medicaid cuts? Is that what you're saying? Yeah, I mean, it's transformational. That's where I was going.
I was going to say, if we step back and let's just, level set some things I think are ground rules. I think every race is inherently racist. I think whites, blacks, Asian, Hispanics inherently prefer members of their own race. It's built into our DNA, built into the cultures. It's built into everything. So when you say racist in America, you are only talking about whites being racist against black or brown people. Like that, when you say
not
racist,
me.
What's that?
Not me.
Not you. I'm saying as a cultural norm, if you walk up to most people and you see it in things where they'll ask black people like, oh, can black people be racist? And white liberals will be like, well, no. And I mean, it's nothing bad. It's just kind of inherent in people. I think most people, if you look at the aggregate, like there's reason why in Africa, where it's largely black people, they aren't always welcoming of other races. There's a reason why in Asia, be the white dude in Asia, like they aren't very welcoming. On some scales they are, but every nation, has their culture, has their religion, has what their foundations are. And Christianity is a very open, welcoming thing. And we kind of founded America on those principles, free to practice your religion, free to do this, free to do that. Much of Europe is that same way. And now what's happened is you see a Muslim takeover of the U.S. leveraged by communists. And you get these communists and they come in, we've covered what Tommy Robinson's covering over in England. Like if you would have went back to the 1800s and told people like, oh, all these Christians have fought so hard to keep England, with its Anglo-Christian, Judeo-Christian values, like, hey, half the cities are run by Muslim rape gangs. Like they would tell you like, you're insane. And I think in America, we are going through this transformation. We had reached a point, I think, largely where people didn't see color. Now we see color and we bring it up. And we've created this narrative that like black people, it's systematic racism. You can't get ahead, which I don't believe is true. And I don't think we will ever atone for whatever sins we did from a race perspective for some people, white liberals especially. Like they're the worst. Like they just hate America. Oh my gosh, there were slaves. Name a nation that didn't have slaves. Like I'm waiting. Every single nation in the world has had slaves at some point. So like, why is America the only one they talk about? And I think that fundamental transformation, when the left talk about it, the communists talked about it back in the 50s, where they wanted to get into our organizations, teach people to hate America, teach people to not love what we do, separate families, destroy the nuclear family. All those things were all part of what the plan comes. And I think we've reached a tipping point in America where we have to decide if we're going to take back our culture, if we're going to take back our nation, or if we're just going to let it slowly decline further.
Porter boy, listen, I know this little sentence that I'm getting ready to say might hurt your feelings, but there is no race. I mean, there's just a human race. We're all humans. Might be different colors, but there's no white race. There's no black race. There's no yellow race. There's no orange race. There's no blue race. We're humans. Again, different colors. It's not our fault, but we're all humans. So when people do that, that's why I really don't talk about race too much on the show. I really don't, because people are going to be who they're going to be. All right. People are going to talk the way that they want to talk about it. I mean, there's no winning and a whole lot of losing with race. And especially when there's no race, it's just colors. We have a human race, period. Animals, they have their own. Plants, whatever. Aliens, whatever. I said animals. We're all humans, human race. That's it. We're not. I mean, and though, like I used to get mad when there were elections, and you prefer your culture. Okay, he says he prefers his culture. There's nothing wrong with that either. I mean, if you have banjo playing people that want to marry banjo playing people, that's fine. But when you talk about race, I used to get mad with CNN and MSNBC and Fox News when they came on here and talking about, well, the black vote and the white vote and the Hispanic vote and stuff. Why are you breaking it up like that? You are sowing that division in everybody's surround. It goes back to what I said earlier about you keep hearing it, repeat. Now it's stuck. I think it's a CIA psyop thing. You keep bang, 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 bang. You can't think of anything else.
Well, it's race communism is what it is.
And it's like, dude, I mean, people like, I have lived beside all types of people. You come out every day. Hey, how you doing? Nothing about race. Hey, how you doing? Great. How's it fair? Yeah, we're gonna have barbecue. Nothing about race. We're humans, y'all. But going back to this transformational thing, I just think that where things are, listening to the Khomeini thing, and that really shook me, because I was like, goodness well that y'all in trouble. It. And you came out and you said that. And I was like, but he had to say it. Well, actually, he didn't have to say it, but he had to say it as a leader. And all leaders do that. What's his name? He wore a suit to the Netherlands.
Zelensky.
Does the same thing. Putin, he's probably taking a whole lot of losses too. He does the same thing. Kim Jong-un, same thing. They have to speak to their people and say stuff so that the masses won't burn down the house. You know what I'm saying? People in Canada, people down in Mexico, people in the United States, people in UK, France. The leaders have to speak to the people and somehow level the narrative. You might see, not only do they get in front of the mic, but they might start granting interviews for certain things so that they continue to push that narrative. For him to do that this morning, I was like, wow, straight crap. Kind of, oh yeah, we destroyed, we took care of them. We there's no slap in the face. They just, really? Oh, wow. Okay. For everything that the world has seen outside of that, and I'm sure that when a person leaves Iran and they're able to see what happened, they're going to have a crap. The same way that people leave the United States and look inside and see, oh, I didn't know that was really going on, because of the media. It's the propaganda thing, bull crap of stuff.
Well, I think what you have to understand, touching on the race, the narrative, even tying back into the military discussion, so if you look at black people in America, you have a huge conglomeration of people. You have people that came here as chattel slaves. You have people that came from Jamaica. You have people that came from Somalia. You have people that came from other parts of Africa. It's a wide blanket of people. They like to separate us. It's an approach of race communism where they say black people, brown people, whatever. And then they like to highlight the disparities between the two groups. And I think Barack Obama was excellent at that. I think he said it's you versus us, and then you white liberals need to feel bad because you're thriving from this system that was leveraged to you. So somehow they convince these white liberals they need to feel bad at how good their life is because it was at the expense of other people. That's why you get white liberals who'll say, like, oh, we're on stolen land, but yet none of them will give their land back. They're not like, let me go find a Native American tribe and give them my house. No, but oh, we're on stolen land. And they won't go somewhere else because there is no stolen land not to go to. You know what I mean? Like every single square inch of the world has been conquered and reconquered and conquered again. So it's these points that they bring up, but people only get part of the story and then they form these opinions, and it's bad. And I'll give you an example. Like I have a liberal family member who I made a comment about, oh man, Minneapolis is moving out here and into where I live. And my statement was Minneapolis is crime ridden and bad. And Minneapolis is spreading closer to me. Like as they're destroying those neighborhoods, it's moving like a locust. My Walmart, I can no longer go in at 8 at night and feel safe. And he tried to make it a race thing. And I'm like, no, it's not a race thing. The thing's full of thugs. It's full of people that clearly are having issues that, now we have to watch our local news. Like, oh, there's another shooting in Coon Rapids. And it's like, man, this crime just keeps coming out. And, by saying like, oh yeah, a lot of the crime from Minneapolis is moving out. Somehow that's a racist thing. Cause oh, you don't like the black people. It's like, there's nothing to do with black people. I just want a nice neighborhood. I want a Walmart that's not trash. I don't care what color you are. We had a lot of African immigrants actually that lived in my community and like completely assimilated, did great. A lot of them went to my church, and it's like we've just become so divided that you can't even have conversations about different things without people just going to the tags and the labels and the narrative.
Well, I got a little secret for you about those white liberals, white female liberals or white liberals.
They're destroying the country.
They didn't start under Barack Obama. They started a whole lot earlier.
Oh, yeah.
In like way 40s, 50s, 60s, they started. Especially, I remember
in the kitchen.
I remember one of them used to. One of them was my math teacher, and they always like to get in people's business. They always like to. Hey, how you doing? Just thought I was in the neighborhood and stuff. You don't need to see where I live. You don't need to understand, whatever. But real quick. New stuff. Like I said, the Senate thing, it was a big deal, I guess. It looks like let's see. Where's it at? Here it is. Senate referee rejects key Medicaid cuts in the big beautiful bill. The Senate parliamentarian has rejected key Medicaid provisions in the Senate GOP mega bill to cap. You remember yesterday when we were talking about the capping and stuff?
Mm-hmm.
The Senate referee rejected a plan to cap states' use of healthcare provider taxes to collect more federal Medicaid funding, a proposal which would have generated hundreds of billions of dollars in savings to offset the cost of making President Trump's corporate tax cuts permanent.
Correct.
What do you think?
Yeah, we talked about it yesterday. I mean, the fact of the matter is the Republicans are going to drag their feet. We don't have the votes in the Senate to get anything done substantial. the parliamentarian is going to go through and rip out a bunch of chunks from the big beautiful bill. Some of the pieces that make it through the big beautiful bill will actually then get challenged in court to see whether those are appropriate or not.
Yeah,
I mean, today there was just a ruling 6-3 that I forget what state it was,
South
but
Carolina.
What was that?
South Carolina.
South Carolina. Yeah, they were cutting Planned Parenthood funding, and they got sued saying, "Oh, you can't do that." Supreme Court upheld they could. So, this budget stuff is going to be a huge back and forth. That's part of why the big beautiful bill. We just need to get a pass to like start moving on and getting through some of this. But Trump saying they got to work the weekend. Nobody goes home till they get it done. I've heard reports that they say they're going to get it done by July 4th, which probably means July 30th. Yeah. The parliamentarian, it's so frustrating because somehow your corrupt politicians like Democrats can get plenty of things that shouldn't get by the parliamentarian.
Look, and you know what? And I'm glad you said that because it's only because the Republicans will say, "Okay, go ahead." It's that compromise that we talk about. That is like Republicans. The only way that they know how to spell the word compromise is GIVE space UP. Give up. They don't know how to. First, they don't know how to compromise.
Well, they don't want to win,
and then they don't want to win because there's a whole lot more money in fighting it than where they are right now. And I think Mitch McConnell came out and said something about. Oh, yeah, Jason. Mitch McConnell came and said, "Man, don't listen to these people about these Medicaid cuts. Go ahead and do it." Mitch McConnell said it.
I'm good with that.
He said, "Don't worry about it. Don't worry about all these people complaining. Do it." Mitch McConnell, if he's on it,
I saw that, and he said, people forget about it or that kind of thing. I mean, they're cutting Medicaid from illegals, and they're putting a work requirement on Medicaid, which I think most Americans would probably agree with. And the work requirements, I haven't seen the latest version of the bill, but when they first proposed them, it was basically if you're getting Medicaid, and they're trying to tie it to other assistance, you either need to have a job or be performing some sort of qualified community service if you're able-bodied. And I'm like, boy, that is one of the most reasonable things I've ever heard. And like, hey, you're going to get free stuff from the government. Like, and it was like, you could go work with the city and clean your local park 20 hours a week. I mean, it wasn't like you need to go dig ditches or whatnot. And I don't know why that's unpalatable to people, but back to what you were saying when you were reading your tweet about a fundamental change. I mean, this entire narrative that in America you're entitled to free stuff, whether it's food, insurance, whatever it is, like this, that's been one of the hugest transformations in America. It used to be that you were entitled to an opportunity to live your life and take care of yourself. And the goal was for you to be a good neighbor so that when things happened, your neighbor would come help you, not the government. Like there was a social contract that existed that said, like for me, when I go out snowblow, I know a couple of my neighbors work out of the house. And so if I'm snowblowing during the day because I work from home, I'll go clean their driveway. And that's a social contract with them where they're like, "Oh, you're a nice neighbor." Conversely, they would clean my driveway, but in the liberal mindset, it's like, well, no, the government should clean my driveway. And that's not how it works. Like, you have a responsibility to be a good person, be a good neighbor, be a functioning member of society. And then that's why we had food shelves through churches and different things. This whole replacing that you're entitled because you exist, it's the most bizarre thing I've ever seen. I don't know why anybody thinks they're entitled to anything just because they exist.
Yeah. Let's see. So I guess this weekend is really going to be about, U.S. to create military zones in Texas and Arizona along the Mexico border.
Oh, yeah. Did you see the Alligator Alcatraz too?
I heard about that in Florida, right?
Yeah, I love that so much. They're going to build, I think they're calling it Alligator Alcatraz, but
Yeah.
in the Everglades, surrounded by alligators, a quite uncomfortable holding facility for illegals. See, and this is what's tough, because every now and then Ron DeSantis does something like this, and I just love it. He's going after property taxes, which property taxes are one of the worst kinds of theft of all of the taxes. And he's going after it. I don't know if it'll be successful. I don't know if it'll work, but man, every now and then Ron does something. I'm like, oh, I like him.
Well, there's also, for anybody that is interested in this, there's also a move. Let's see. There's also a move that I'm trying to remember the name of it, but they are working to release a lot of people in prison if they decide that they want to get their memories not really wiped, but redone.
I haven't heard that. That's
let me see.
They're doing like brain wipes to make you not a criminal.
Brain wipe criminals. Let me see. There's a company that's coming out saying that they can do that.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
I love that. I saw a meme the other day that just struck me as funny. It's like these Zoomers, when they're older, when they're our age and they're yelling at their kids, they're going to be saying like, no, marriage is between a human and a human, not a human and a robot. Like, I don't care how realistic your chatbot is. You can't make, and there was actually a guy that tried to marry or asked his chatbot to marry it, which is kind of funny.
Cognify.
Oh my God.
It's called Cognify. There's a prison concept that, there's a prison concept. Wait a minute. Let me go back. A prison concept that wants to use AI to revolutionize rehabilitation. Future prison subjects could choose between serving a typical prison sentence or accepting brain implants.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm gonna hack Wayne's brain implants. I'm gonna be sitting over here. Come on. What can I make him say?
Oh, gracious.
I love that. We live in the best timeline.
It's a thought-provoking concept introduced by a science communicator. It envisions a revolutionary approach to the penal system, focusing on reformation and rehabilitation rather than punishment. The process involves a detailed assessment of the individual's neural pathways and cognitive functions. By understanding the specified areas of the brain that can contribute to criminal behavior, the implant would force the prisoner to experience emotions such as guilt and regret by targeting neural pathways that control memory, thinking, and logical thoughts.
Oh my God, this is like the worst idea ever.
Dude, you're going to have a lot of people on the street. Oh,
right.
Oh my gosh. Kevin says,
God, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I never heard of that. Is Elon doing that, or who's
No. This is Cognify. This is a company called Cognify. It does say, however, altering an individual's brain function presents issues. Really? Around personal autonomy, consent, and the potential for misuse. For such a concept to be a viable, stringent relations would be necessary to ensure. Yeah, I know who's going to be in charge of that. Democrats, Republicans, the deep state. Ensuring AI is used ethically in society will become. Yeah, wait till Skynet takes over. Then everybody we'll be doing this podcast. The next thing you know, we were talking. Did you see the yellow belly sapsucker fly on top of the flower yesterday?
I got to say, with all this brain stuff we're doing, one thing I talked to my wife about, and I can't remember which show it was that had it. I think it was a Pixar movie I watched with my son, but they had a communication device that would tell you what your dog was thinking. And I got to say, for any dog, like it was in a show, it was make believe, you didn't know, but I'm like, man, if they're going to invent some brain thing, like I see my dog looking at me, and don't you see your cat looking at you? And like,
Yeah.
I wonder what Lou the Freedom
Yeah.
Dog's thinking
Yeah.
right now.
Yeah.
And like Steve, who's kind of my special needs, not the smartest dog, like he looks at me with this blank stare, and like I want the thought bubble above Steve.
Yeah.
Like what are you thinking? Like maybe instead of trying this on humans, let's just lean into the Alligator Alcatraz, for the criminals, and then let's like get dog thought bubbles. Like let's not try to reprogram human brains of criminals.
Well, so glad you said that, because some company is working on, said that they would have in the next couple of years a way to understand how dogs and cats, what they're saying when they bark.
No way, that's really a thing.
They said that they were working on it. Yep.
Oh yeah, Mike over on the YouTube. That was the movie Up. You're right. I remember it was the old guy. It was the balloons where they did it, where somebody invented a dog thought bubble thing. It was amazing.
Yep. So here it is. Last year on YouTube, Japanese apps uses AI to understand cats' feelings. They're working on it.
Ah, that's beautiful.
They're working on it.
You're going to nominate your cat for that test.
I don't really know if I want, I have an app right now. Look, tell you the truth, I have an app that I downloaded, and you say something in it, and then it comes out as like, kind of like,
no way.
No, and really, I thought it was working, because I was like, come here, and then you hear the thing. I wonder if I got rid of it.
Now, Kev said Captain Kirk fought this already. I hope he's talking about the human brain scan, and he's not crushing my dogs can talk electronic device. Like, I just think it'd be fun. Wayne's gonna have an app on your phone to communicate with your cat, dude. You might need to get out of the house a little more.
I was surprised that it worked though, because I was standing at the steps, and I was like, let's go upstairs, and I pressed the button, and it said, meow, meow, meow. And I swear the cat moved and went up the steps. I'm like,
no way.
I'm not lying, Jason. I'm telling you the truth. We're gonna
get you a GoPro, and we're gonna do a podcast. You're gonna be wandering around your house. You're gonna be talking to your cat in your cat app, and then we're gonna see if the cat responds to the cat app.
Let's see, where is it at? Yeah, I had it. And I don't know where it is now, but yeah, I was like, it works. Oh my God. But look, we got to get ready. We got to get ready to roll out of here. What are you doing this weekend?
Oh man. So this weekend's going to be fun for us. On Saturday, Jen's work has a cookout that one of the people's hosts, and we're going to round up the grandbaby, go unveil the grandbaby to all her work friends. So that'll be good. And I like it because it's kind of out in the boonies near a town called St. Cloud. And on the way out there are like farms. And these are old school, like guy just farms, and then has like a produce stand right on the side of the road. And it's literally, he goes out, he harvests the tomatoes, the watermelons, the corn. I don't know what all's going to be at his shop, potatoes. It's all stuff they grow on their farm. And then they literally just have a little tent. So we get to go have a delicious barbecue, and as an added value, we get to get super fresh produce, which will be kind of fun.
Hey, that's good.
Yeah, what are you up to this weekend?
You have a barbecue pit, right, outside?
Yeah.
Is it gas or charcoal?
Well, I have a charcoal grill, and then I also have in-ground like fire pit that I can burn logs on. Okay,
so you have a charcoal grill. The grates that you have, stainless steel or
whatever comes with the Weber.
Okay, so it's silver.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's stainless steel. For my smoker grill outside, it has cast iron.
Oh,
Great.
nice.
Well, they're hard to clean, and it looked like they rust a whole lot
More
quicker.
than hard to clean. We got cast iron pans. I can't imagine it on a grill.
Do you soap on your cast iron pans?
No. And I'll be honest, we tried doing cast iron for like a year to a few years ago, and we had to give it up because by the time you season it, then you do it, then it rusts out all the time.
Yeah,
And like it made really good like fried potatoes when I would use it. It was kind of fun to cook with, but it was like the most horrible thing ever to cook in. But yeah, so for me, my grill, I just do old school charcoal on the old Weber. Like I'm not super high tech, and I had quit grilling for a while. I had a gas grill, and it just didn't taste that much better than cooking in the house. And then I was at a family member's house, and they cooked on a Weber, and I'm like, man, I forgot how good a delicious Weber grill.
Charcoal, yeah. I
mean,
mean,
regular charcoal taste, and it's not that hard to do.
No, it's not. It's not. I mean, I agree about the charcoal. I've been looking because one of my charcoal grills went up. So I was like, okay, should I do gas or should I do charcoal? But everything keeps pushing me back to charcoal. Because that gas thing is like, it's like.
And you've got some things in the chat too. Kev's talking to you about seasoning cast iron. You don't wash them like the normal dishes. Becky's got the scrubber.
I got that too. Yeah, I got that too.
Yeah, and cast iron like it rusts. That just
I mean, after I use it, I clean. I put a little bit of soap. Not a lot. It's just a little bit, and I clean it out, and then I heat it up, put some more oil in it, and then I coat it with oil and then I wipe it around so it doesn't stay, or that it won't get rusted. At least that's what I've watched people do. But some way, somehow, if a little speck of water hits that and you don't use it for about 2 weeks, it starts to rust. Yeah. Yep. It starts to rust.
Well, that's because you're using soap. The chat's lighting you up, Wayne. They're like, why would you put soap on your cast iron?
Well, no. I mean, I watch people on YouTube and they claim, I mean, but it tended to work because you didn't soak it in soap. You just put a little bit of soap in there to get all the stuff out, and then you wash it. Well, you put water in it, and then you dry it out. You put it on top of the thing, and
when we tried cooking with it, and it was funny because we saw the same thing where I think we ate at somebody's house and they used cast iron. We're like, oh, that's great. We bought a really nice cast iron pan. It was pre-seasoned, and then we seasoned it ourselves too, because seasoning, I can't remember the steps, but you like burn oil on it kind of to coat it. And we'd use it, and like every time we use it, like that was a good meal. That was horrible to prepare. And then we just didn't want to use it. But that was with the charcoal. So like we have this great routine where like when I want to grill, Jen's done work 3:30, 4 o'clock. We go to the dog park. So I'll go out, I'll fire up the grill. We'll go to the dog park. We come back, and then my charcoal is all like ready to go. The burgers are ready to go right on. And it's not that much work, really, if you think about it. And I had quit using charcoal for a long time. I was like, oh, it's such a pain. It's really not. And it's really not, so much better.
Yeah. You use briquettes.
Oh, yeah.
I start using
every now and then. I'll throw in like smoker chips or something.
Yeah. I use lump charcoal.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
So you're old school.
Yeah. It lasts for a little bit, and you hear it. Like stuff break, like glass breaking. Yeah, that tinder or whatnot. Okay, but
have you ever had one of those pellet grills?
I was looking at that too, but you can't. But it's like with a charcoal grill, like with the ones we have, you can smoke on it, or you can grill it. You can sear things with it. These pellet grills, you really can't sear like a charcoal type of thing, I was thinking about doing
That's
it.
what's interesting. My stepson just had one gifted to him
Mhm.
that is a pellet smoker, but you can also, they say, use it for a grill, and it had
Okay.
a griddle on it. So you could even, like, he
In
said
the
it would get
middle.
hot enough where you could, like whatever, cook eggs on it or whatnot. So he
Okay.
hadn't used it yet. He was over last weekend and he had just gotten it. So Lisa, we make you hungry at the end of the show. Us too. We go eat lunch after this.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I plan on doing. I plan on doing some chicken wings on the grill, kind of smoking.
You're gonna have another 100 people over to the house?
No. Those days are over. All right. But you know what, too? It's funny watching these YouTube videos and watching these Asian places and how they cook and how they prepare and stuff like that. And my son came in yesterday. I was like, do you think we could run a restaurant? Because this one guy ran the whole thing. One guy by himself. I can't do it. I know I can't do it. I tell you straight up, I wouldn't be able to do it. So, but I was like, do you think we could run a restaurant? And then I was like, forget it. No, forget it.
One of my dreams is that the kids open a bakery, because we used to have good local bakeries, and then they keep getting bought out by bigger companies, and they suck and they go out of business. And I'm like, man, you guys don't want to work for people. Like, open a bakery. And then, like, I'd help fund it and set it up or help them run it or whatever. I don't want to make donuts, but like, whatever, I'll help with the business stuff. But like, yeah, imagine if you could go get a good bakery, and like it was your kid's bakery. Yeah. So your son should think about that. So there's something in the food space.
Yeah.
Because what's he gonna do when he grows up?
As a matter of fact, Jason.
Oh.
Yeah. He made this last night on the grill. All right, Jason, you give me last thoughts and then we'll rock out. You get it?
All right.
You get it?
I'm gonna say few things. What's that?
Check.
Oh, Wayne sent me a note. Our behind the scenes chatting. Oh my God.
He made that.
Okay, everybody. So we're all heading to Wayne's. We're going out to Maryland this weekend. Kev's gonna coordinate our Airbnb for us. Becky's gonna be in charge of getting the liquor. I'm just saying. Yeah. No, hey, what are my last thoughts? I'm gonna say, one, what a great week. Hopefully the peace in the Middle East holds. If that does hold, Trump should get the Nobel Peace Prize. I think how he navigated it, while many, including us, were critical of involvement, so far it's tracking on a really good trend. Be thankful for that. Pray for that. 2, big, beautiful bill. Hopefully this weekend's a weekend. I highly doubt it. They're saying it might be. Trump's saying nobody goes home till it's done. I certainly hope and pray that it gets done so we can just move on with the next thing Trump's going to do. And that's my final thought for the week for everybody. And thanks for tuning in and share. We need to take back this country and reestablish its founding values. And don't ever be afraid to talk about things like self-reliance and your faith and those sorts of things. True. And I think too often those of us who have traditional Judeo-Christian values like feel cowed down, to feel bad that we built one of the greatest civilizations ever. I think the greatest civilization ever. I think we built the greatest country in the history of mankind with our Judean Christian values. Don't be ashamed of it. Don't be ashamed of your faith in God. Don't let them quiet you, because that's when they win.
Yeah. No, I agree with that. Don't be afraid to say what you want.
Oh, yeah. Party at Wayne's. Okay, Big Bad is bringing something. Becky, Kevin, Mike's over there. Somebody, Francis always invite. We're gonna have somebody's got to track down Carrie. Actually, that would be Diane. Oh, we got so many people. Lisa. It'd be kind of fun to have a Wayne Dupree meetup. That'd be a hoot.
All right, we got to go. Y'all have a great weekend.